In 3, 2, 1. Good morning. This is Animal on Control. Happy New Year's, dogs. Welcome to the voice chat. These calls are pre-recorded for upload to social media. And by joining a call, you're consenting to being recorded. Anyone wishing to join a call should email me at animaloncontrol@gmail.com, and I will reply with instructions. Today's topics: animal cruelty, aka the Dog River Bridge incident, EU Environmental Noise Directive, dogs in apartments, guest situational updates, and some gun porn. Joining me, we have Joe from Animal Abuse in Hungary and Mr. J. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hello.
Yeah, let's dive right in. There was something came up, and I think IHD had been discussing this. There was a couple of cases, but I guess Sheepie was going to join us. She's not on yet. I wanted to, let me do a screen share and share this. And all right. So you can see this, right? Update, suspects, charges upgraded to felony, blah, blah, blah. So this was a case, I believe it was in Mobile, Alabama, where a couple of dogs were tossed off a bridge. They ironically called it the Dog River Bridge, although I guess maybe it's the Dog River is the river that the bridge spans. But in any case, so here's what happened. So this was an update. So these two were accused of throwing two dogs off Dog River Bridge. Now face 2 counts of first-degree cruelty to a dog. So I guess they have specific cruelty laws that apply to dogs and nothing else. That's interesting. Although too, is even if when they include other animals, like say like cats, like nobody would give a shit if they threw a bunch of cats off the bridge. So in any case, but I thought it was interesting. Now face 2 counts of first-degree cruelty to a dog. Now, this is also very interesting. According to court documents, now these two, what's interesting is that, okay, this Tavoris Gallery, age 18, and Mary River, 72, were the two suspects. Now, so they were saying that he is her son, but look at the age difference. Maybe, either there's so much sloppy reporting nowadays. He may be her grandson or maybe she adopted him. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, Gallery is listed as River's son according to court paperwork. But I found this interesting. Rivers, the mother, apparently had Gallery throw the dogs off the bridge for eating her chickens. So I was wondering, is this some kind of like livestock killing here, or the chickens, are they just like marinating on the counter for a cookout later? I'm not really sure, but this is the kind of thing IHD and some of the other folks have made it that these animals are like really obnoxious, and that's the kind of thing is you can't leave food or really anything that's had food in it anywhere near where the dogs can get them. They're going to eat it or try to. But it would be interesting to find out more about that. Was this a livestock killing? And just as an aside, I'm going to say, I'm not cool with what these two did. I don't think, we're not promoting this type of behavior. That's not the way to handle something like this. And for one reason is throwing anything off of anything is reckless endangerment. I mean, there could have been somebody in a boat down below. Imagine you're just boating, you're out fishing and somebody drops a dog on your head. So, I mean, it's a possibility. That's why, throwing objects off of tall buildings is typically illegal. So, did you folks have any thoughts on this?
Well, my quick thought on it is it's always what the nutters would think. And what the nutters would think is somebody would want these poor little pooches. So all you have to do is give them away. But the problem always stems from what did the creature do before it got put in a position to get tossed off a bridge?
Right.
Okay, I think it's ironic that all the names start with dog when it comes to this incident, but we'll just leave that for another case. The
Right.
point
Right.
is that, real quick, these people, they don't think about what other people are going to think about them. They
Right.
think about them when they have them and all the pictures they take and all the coddling and all the messages they receive, but they don't think about the repercussions of getting rid of that said creature. And this is what happens.
Yep. Yeah, because it's like they could be just give them away, but well, it's problem because you're right. I mean, as you said, they don't know why the dog is being given away. It could have eaten all the small children in the home, and that's why they're being given away. Because we know dogs never get put down for attacking people, or rarely do anymore. So there's that, right? That's why all the dangerous dog recycling. And also too, it's like all the shelters are full. Like it's impossible to get rid of a dog now due to no-kill policies. And that's why people are doing stuff like this, or one reason. Because, I just take it to a shelter because they're all at 200% capacity. We got this massive dog overpopulation. Hey, looks like we got another guest. Who just
that's
joined?
me.
Oh, okay. Hey, Sheepie, what's up?
I don't know why my
Oh,
name
Sheepie,
appears
hello.
weird on here today, but
Hey,
I just
Sheepy, yeah, I'm
guys.
guest user for some reason.
Yeah, that's what mine usually says. But I just about died laughing when I saw the name of this bridge. I was like, you cannot make this up. Like, is this an AI generated reality right now? Like, 2 dogs were thrown off Dog River Bridge.
Well, I noticed
And the dogs died in Dog River would have been even better.
I know. It's like maybe the guy just thought that's what this bridge was for. I don't know.
It was interesting because I don't know if you were on yet, but I highlighted this point was that the mother was upset because the dogs had eaten her chickens. And I thought, okay, is this a livestock killing, or was it already like just like chicken breasts marinating on the kitchen counter? It doesn't say.
With a dog, it could be both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it ate all the chicken breasts off the counter, was still hungry because they're always hungry, then went out back and killed all the live chickens. So,
Hey, well, you have a taste for the already dead. Why not have it fresh and live?
yeah, get it. Yeah, get fresh off the hoof. Yeah. So the charges were up. Initially, these are misdemeanors. They found sufficient evidence. So it said it was, I guess, intentional. So I guess it's a misdemeanor if you accidentally throw your dog off a bridge. But if you do it on purpose, then that's a felony. So during a perp walk on January 1st, they asked if they had anything to say, and he responded, she wanted to kill the dogs. So, the bridge is in 73 feet above water. So, but there was a kind of thing too, is I like to make this point when this kind of thing comes up, because here's what you had is if you read through this, I mean, this thing actually triggered a manhunt. Apparently there were some photographs of it, and the police were all over this thing. I mean, literally, it was like if they got a tip that the Zodiac killer was like running loose in their city, they were all over this thing. But you have to juxtapose that with they say, okay, should we criminalize dog attacks or, implement BSL, like restrict certain dog breeds? One of the main retorts is that, well, that's too expensive, right? The police and prosecutors and judges have better things to do. That's the comeback. But it's like, okay, where does all the money come from? I mean, this incident is going to cost taxpayers, I mean, when all's said and done, hundreds of thousands of dollars, easy. Particularly if they're incarcerated for many years, that's expensive. So we have got plenty of money to go after people that do this. And, as again, I'll make the point again, this is not cool. This is not a good way to handle something like this. I'm not okay with what they did for a couple of reasons. But that said, yeah, they're treating it like it's the crime of the century. I was commenting on, maybe it was on the IHD video, that, I mean, this is getting almost as much media attention as that New Orleans, car massacre on New Year's Eve. This is being treated like it's something at that level.
No, I'm going to have to correct you there. This is more like with that CEO, because they didn't have no mass manhunt for the guy in New Orleans. He was already killed.
Right.
This is like that Mangione thing. Like, we have to, like, when I saw the reports, like what you just said, they were like, oh, well, when IHD first dropped the story, they were like, well, we're still looking for the people, even though we knew they had already caught them. The news reports were like, we're looking for them, and the suspects were in a black vehicle, and everybody's looking for them. Like, they had an APB out on them, like it was a mass murder, but it was two stupid dogs floating in a river that they sent a boat 2 hours to go find.
Yep. Yeah, so at least with the New Orleans thing, he was like, that person was killed at the scene. So I guess this might have been more like, like maybe going after the Zodiac killer or Bin Laden, perhaps. That's how this is being treated. And the dogs didn't even die, And that's the other thing they say. It's like victims of dog attacks. Well, look, you lost an arm, but you're still alive, so it's all good, right? Nothing wrong there. Just send the dog home. It's all good.
Well, I want whatever superpowers these fucking dogs have, because they seem to survive everything. They're like cockroaches. They fall from buildings, still live. Lit on fire, still live. Ran over by a tractor trailer, still live. Shot 60 times, still live. Hell, Tupac took 6 bullets and didn't make it.
Yeah, they're like the Terminator.
They really are like bizarrely hardy animals. I just think it's crazy too. Like, if somebody threw me off a 73-foot high bridge into like a river, I don't think I would make it.
You'd probably be knocked unconscious and drown at least. Yeah, I mean,
And I don't
like
think
that.
there'd be like a manhunt like there was for these dogs.
No, they would just make sheepy soup. I'm bad. I need to quit.
Well, it would be an unfortunate incident, and maybe they'd, half-heartedly look for the perp. But yeah, like with this case and with every case like this, it is absolutely nuts. Like like you said, it's like this, like Luigi Mangione's like perp walk down the, like, you know what I mean? Why are they doing a perp walk for like an 18-year-old that wanted to kill a couple of dogs? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's so over the top.
Unsuccessful kill.
Yeah.
They didn't die.
Yeah, attempted murder. So.
Right, and the article even says like, oh, the dogs are in good spirits and good health, and it's like, first of all, dogs are never not in like quote good spirits, like as long as someone's feeding them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this didn't affect them in any way. Like, they went for a little swim, and then now they're being like taken care of, and that the woman that threw them off the bridge is gonna be, God only knows what she's gonna go through with all of this.
Yeah, I like this.
Tortured while they're in custody too, because all the nutters in there. All the cops told all the nutters in there that what they did, so they're not having a good time.
They're not.
Oh yeah, they're probably get treated worse than child abusers and stuff.
Oh yeah,
they're probably being fed dog food right now. Who knows what they're going through?
Right. Well, it was
all over some senseless beast.
Yeah, well, there's another story. I don't know if you covered it before I came on or if it was on your list today, but it was some dude caught on camera and he was like body slamming his dog or whatever. The reporting on that, there's literally like a police press conference or whatever, and they're like, this monster will never touch a dog again. Like, they never hesitate to call these people monsters. They don't use that language with even like child abuse cases on the news. I've never seen
cases where the dog they've got a known dangerous dog and it mauls a family kid, they're like, oh, who could have seen that coming? You know.
Oh, light bulb. You know what, Sheepy? You know what? That actually is very disheartful because they are putting more emphasis on these stupid dogs than the people who are supposedly taking care of them. So I've said this before. They're going to end up with a society where there's nothing but dogs and no humans. And guess what? Your stupid dogs are going to die anyways because they cannot take care of themselves. They don't have all these hospitals popping up all over the country for humans. VCA is for dogs.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't been able to stop thinking about the statistics since IHD pointed out that there are more known dogs in this country than children. Like, and people aged 18 and under are outnumbered by dogs already. Is that not crazy? I have not been able to stop thinking about that.
Yeah.
And here's the cool part about it. My boy was just talking. We were just talking about that this morning, or actually last night, morning his time because he's on the East Coast. Dogs aren't actually living longer. So they have all these medicines, they have all these vaccines, they have all this health care, they have all these hospitals, they have all this great food, they have all this nutrition, all these supplements, all these vitamins for dogs, but they aren't living longer.
Well, that's just a way for dog people to feel better about themselves. It's like, yeah, I feed the dog all this like gourmet food and give it all these supplements, but does it really help? Of course, then the dog eats a broken light bulb and dies. So
Sounds about nutter.
Yeah. It was interesting too. So we at first thought it was a person jumping. Then we looked out and saw the two heads swimming and realized it wasn't a person, but an animal. So they're like, oh, a person jumped off the bridge. Like, who cares? They're like, no, wait, they're dogs. Oh, my dog. We must call 911, call a fire department, call search and rescue.
That's exactly what I thought, right? When I heard that too.
Yeah, now it's serious because oh no, there's a dog in danger. Quick, But that's one point I like to make too, is that, particularly when you get into the public policy aspect of this, these same people are going to be like, oh no, we can't restrict certain dog breeds or, formally licensed service dog owners or, arrest owners of dogs that maul and kill. It's too expensive. We can't do that, right? It's just we don't have the resources for it. But then when something like this happens, there's like unlimited resources. Like, yeah, call the Fido's in the water. Quick, call the Coast Guard.
No, you're spot on about that because that's exactly how I took that. And I'm glad you brought that point up because we would have skipped over it. The news report was the witnesses heard a splash. They thought it was a person. No big deal. And when they looked over and saw the two heads, then they got concerned because they thought that they could be dogs. Yep. Then they called out the search and rescue who took them 30, 45 minutes to get there. Oh, no, he already had the boat gassed up conveniently from what the story was told. And then all of a sudden they're in the river looking up and down for 2 hours for these two stupid mutts. But they would have never done that for a human being.
Probably not that much. Yeah. So I wanted to move on from this. And yeah, there was that other kind of similar issue with a guy body slammed his dog. And again, make the point, we're not cool with that kind of behavior. That's not the way to handle something like that. But it was interesting, Sheepie brought up that, yeah, the sheriff had a press conference about it. Like but again, it goes back to the, such high value, a ridiculous high value is placed on the lives, and the welfare and the safety of these things, like way more than anything else. And that's one reason why we have so many problems with dogs in society. So that was an interesting story also. The other thing I wanted to jump into was, Joe, you shared this with me, this EU environmental noise directive. And What well, what can you tell us about this? What do you know about? I mean, I've read through this, but what are your impressions of this?
Well, I mean, as you can probably imagine, with the European Union bureaucracy, it's complicated. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is that I mean, the European Union has certain directives that are implemented in all the member states, and I mean, one of them is this environmental noise directive. So if you look at it, actually, there are tons of links that you can click through, and you could probably spend weeks reading through all that stuff. But basically, it's just about, you know, how noise pollution is supposed to be mitigated or avoided in the member states of the European Union. And I mean, I have to give it to the European Union that I looked through it, and they are actually trying to do quite a lot, and they're going on about a lot of noise sources that I didn't even think of myself, and there are those huge lists about you know, not only traffic but you know, all sorts of noise pollution that they are trying to mitigate, and there's this directive that the member states should actually implement. Now, I spent quite a bit of time looking through all of this stuff, and I was actually just wondering if dogs are mentioned in that. And of course, I mean, I couldn't find any mention of dogs in that directive, and so I thought I'm just going to contact them, because you can actually contact the European Commission that is you know, coming up with these directives, and well, which I did a few days ago, and I was waiting for an answer. And so basically what I just wanted to know actually is that I mean, how should I say it? I just wanted to actually ask them if they have a lot of complaints about dogs, and since they listed so many noise sources that they are combating or that they are trying to mitigate, that are there also any plans to actually look into the barking issue, because that has by now actually surpassed, like, even the traffic noise that you have in most cities has been surpassed by the barking.
Oh yeah.
And so I just wanted to, you know, to talk to somebody who was actually working on that directive, and to, you know, to just have a discussion. It was not a criticism of the directive in any way. And so I got a reply today, actually, funny enough, which was it just looked like almost like a bot reply, where they just completely misunderstood misconstrued what I was writing, and they just said basically, well, if you want to file a complaint, then we are not the right address to do that. You have to file a complaint in your actual state of residency. So in my case, that would be Austria. So I would have to contact the Austrian authorities regarding noise complaints here. But that was not what I was on about at all. So I just wanted to talk to the makers of that European Commission directive, actually. So I didn't want to file a complaint or anything. I just wanted to kind of you know, draw their attention to the fact that the dog barking has become a huge problem.
Yep.
Larger than many of the noise sources that they actually listed. And I just wanted to ask if anybody is aware of that. So I actually tried to I tried to reply to them, and then the funny thing was that they sent their reply to my email, but it came from an email address that is unmonitored. So I wrote this lengthy reply and just specified what I tried to clear up the misunderstanding. And then I sent my reply. And then I got an automated reply that this address is basically not monitored, and please send your request via the European Commission's website. So I actually had to go to the website again, write a new request talking about my old request, because every request gets a specific number. And then I had to tell them the number and say, look, I've already written to you. So this is basically a new request, but referring to an old request, and then trying to clear up that misunderstanding and to actually specify that I don't want to deal with the Austrian authorities. I was specifically asking about the European Commission's department on the noise.
Well, yeah, because you want to know, it's like, okay, is dog noise pollution going to be addressed as part of this directive?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not necessarily complaining about anyone specifically, just generally is like they point out these things because it looks like noise management for major roads, major railways, major airports, right? So they say, okay, those are this agglomeration. So you got like big cities just tend to be kind of noisy anyway. You've got, super highways, railroads, airports. Okay, those have been, sort of targeted as, sources of noise pollution requiring mitigation. So, but the thing is, what's like conspicuously missing from here? Because I'm sure that probably it's gotten to the point now where probably, in a lot of places, particularly talk about neighborhoods, dog noise pollution probably is the number one source of noise pollution.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things. You have that, but the other thing I like to raise this also is that things like roads, railroads, airports, air travel, and so forth, those are critical components of the modern economy. Right. So, everything comes with trade-offs. Like, I'm kind of a environmentalist light, but I understand that you have to put up with some pollution, right? Not a lot, but some as a trade-off for a high standard of living, right? Because if we were to eliminate these things, we'd be back at the Stone Age with a life expectancy of like 25. Right.
Exactly.
So that's the trend. And I'm not saying that could these things be made quieter? Perhaps. I've seen here, some of you say they build these big walls along these interstate highways. And a lot of that is for noise mitigation because you get a neighborhood just on the other side of it. So sure. But I think this stuff is already sort of formally recognized. Nobody wants to address the, 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, which is dog noise pollution, which is different from these because that dog noise pollution has no countervailing benefit, right?
Exactly.
Unlike these things, it doesn't contribute to the greater good. I mean, owning any pet really is a luxury and a privilege. And it only benefits the pet owner. There's no, you could argue, okay, dogs, I guess, contribute to the, quote, consumer economy. They do very, very next to zero actual productive work, but they do eat a lot. And, you also have like broken window economics. They destroy things that need to be replaced. They create jobs for people in the healthcare industry and all that kind of stuff. But that's not a good reason to keep dogs around. Like I said, they themselves are not contributing to the productive economy as these things are, right? All they do is eat and break shit. And as far as those consumption dollars go, consumption is fungible. So well, first of all, the dogs don't need to bark all the time, for one thing, even if they are going to have them. And if they didn't have the dogs, I imagine that those consumption dollars would be spent on other things, right? They're not just going to take the 3,000 or 4,000 euros a year they spend on the dog and just flush it down the toilet. They're going to either spend that money on something else or perhaps invest it. So that's my thought on the issue. So that's why I think that's something you'd really want to go after, because it doesn't, dog ownership does not contribute to the greater good, not in any meaningful way, unlike these other things. That's my thought on the issue.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And so, I mean, I'm still waiting for their second reply now, but to be honest, I don't really have much hope for that, because I mean, the European Commission is famous for just being like 10 miles behind the curve. So it's like even if you can actually find somebody who takes their job seriously and who thinks that, oh yeah, actually thanks for drawing our attention to that. Like it'll take them another 10 years to come up with some strategy and everything, and then we've already gone mad by then. So this will probably go nowhere. And just another quick thing, that here, I mean, probably in the United States you wouldn't realize that too much, but these are exactly the things that are so irritating for people in the European Union. And things like that are also the reason, for instance, why you have things like Brexit happening right now, because it's exactly this kind of inefficiency that is pissing people off so much that in the end they would just say, look, we actually want to take care of our own stuff again, and we don't want Brussels and Strasbourg, deciding things like that for us, because it's just totally inefficient, and we want to deal with our own stuff. And so the people, I mean, the UK already said that, okay, we are going to leave that club, and you can go on yourselves, and we will just take care of our own stuff. But I'm sure that the UK will not be the first country, and other countries actually will follow. And these are exactly the things that piss people off about the European Union, and that you can't even email them. You can't email them back, because then you will just get an automated reply that the email address is invalid, and you have to send a new request and stuff like that. So that's just totally preposterous,
Yeah.
Let me interject real quick. There's two ways of looking at that. Number one, if they told you straight out to go file a complaint somewhere else, that could be a sign that they do get people that call and complain to them about this issue of dog barking, or have sent message to them in the past. But also another way of looking at it too, from the other point of view, is they also just could be giving you the red tape as well, because if you said the email address that you responded to, the second one was a non-respondable one because it's an outside person, that was probably a nutter talking.
Could be, yeah, because that's like,
absolutely.
I had that thought also. It's like, it's crazy conspiracy theory, but like, one thing people need to realize, particularly if you get into the public policy space like this, is that dog lovers are, I mean, it's a political movement. They have political goals, and they agitate for certain things like anti-BSL and no kill and all that kind of stuff. But I'm sure this is on their radar, because everybody knows that dog noise pollution is a huge problem. Everybody, right? Just like everybody knows pit bulls are dangerous. Anybody who doesn't know that was either born yesterday or has a room temperature Celsius IQ. Everybody knows it. But the thing is that I'm sure this happens, and I'm not saying this has been corrupted yet necessarily. I don't know. We don't know, but I do know that dog, nutter activists do inject themselves into these things. And they do it because they want to make sure that this directive is directed away from the dog noise pollution issue. They want it to be, they'll say, okay, we'll go after all this other stuff and ignore the barky dogs, right? Yep. Specifically because not that they think that these things are worse or should be addressed first necessarily, but they just want to direct it away from the dog, right? So they'll obfuscate in various ways to do that. It happens. So
absolutely, yeah.
Not necessarily, I don't know that's the case here, but that's on their radar. They pay attention to stuff like that. Like, just like anytime, that somebody wants to change the laws, like you get like that case. Actually, I was rewatching. It was part of a segment where we were discussing, it was a pit bull ban in this small Arkansas city, but that kind of thing, it gets literally not just national, but international attention because all the dog nutters swamp the public meetings, launch, protests, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right, to get the law changed, right? And here you got this city with like 30,000 people in it. It's nothing. So yeah, this thing, what needs to happen is that people on our side I know it's a big ask, but need to get involved with something like this. I mean, even going to the extent of actually being put on the commission. I need to say, no, we're not going to deflect off onto like leaf blowers and weed eaters. Yeah. We are going to address the dog noise pollution issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it looks like I might have to be a jerk and report my brother and his girlfriend. They are visiting my sick parents' house, and they have a dog that barks all damn day. I mean, that dog is so stupid. And literally, all the dog wants to do is get out and look for food. So it doesn't want your attention. It only wants to go look for food. So it only wants to bark to get out of the cage so it can go look for food.
Right.
Annoying everybody. Like the neighbor has like 5 dogs.
Well, if your parents are sick, because that kind of goes back to, the point is, noise like that is a health hazard. So it's probably, it's probably making your parents sicker if they got to listen to that dog. It's
driving my dad insane.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really bad. It's bad for the mind and the body. So, maybe just slap a bark collar on him or something. Or take him to the vet and have him debarked.
She won't do it. It's her dog. It's only her dog when she wants to cuddle with it and get all those kisses. But when it's got to, take a shit, or it's got to be walked, or it's got to be fed, or you got to shut it up, or you got to do anything with the dog, it's not her dog. It's everybody else's dog.
Somebody else has to do it, of course.
Yeah, someone else has to do it.
Typical dog person.
Typical nutter.
Typical dogs. This is interesting. So I'm going to cover that. And, actually, sort of pursuant to that, Kanon put up a video on dogs in apartments. And I think everybody should watch it. Let me see. Go to YouTube. I won't, because sound sharing on here is always, I don't know, why am I running so slow today? Yeah. Oh, here he goes. Dogs are worse than secondhand smoke. Indeed. Yeah, the case against dogs in apartments. Yeah, and that's a good one also. Yeah, dogs do not belong in apartments for multiple reasons. But because one of them is that, it's this dog noise pollution issue. Right? If you've got a barky dog like on the other side of the wall, forget it. Your home is going to sound like a dog kennel. That's good enough reason to get him out of there. Plus, you have the dog waste issue, You also have the fact that you can't physically avoid them. So if you have a dog allergy or, legit fear of a dog attack, they're going to be like, see this this image here, like, yeah, you're going to have to share the elevator with that German Shepherd or Rottweiler or Pit Bull or whatever. You're going to come across them in the hallways, in the lobby, unless you're in some kind of building where each, maybe a low-rise unit, block where the walls are shared, but each unit has its own door to the outside. But that's a big problem, and that's exploded everywhere, and we need to get a lid on that also for multiple reasons.
To interject on that, they have a lot of those apartments in Washington State like that, and I've lived in them. No, you don't want to live in those because, yeah, you may have your own entrance, but a lot of those are the fence is only to cover your privacy. There's not any fence to stop them from coming up to your fucking sliding glass window or even walking right into your apartment.
Yeah. I guess so. In an environment like that, I guess you're less exposed. I'm not saying you're not exposed to it, perhaps less, because like in a high-rise building, you're really going to be, those things are going to be all over you, in that kind of density. Actually, my first place when I moved out of my parents' it wasn't an apartment building, it was a condo tower in Jersey City. And this was back in the 90s. But I remember at the time, and dogs were allowed because it wasn't an apartment building, they were individually owned. And I guess the condo association allowed them. I don't know what the pet stipulations were because I didn't own pets at the time, but still, very few people had them. I would say the rate of dog ownership, I mean, people own other pets, but like most of the other pets typically aren't, intrusive or invasive. I would say that the rate of dog ownership was less than 5% at the time. This was in a condo tower. But I also remember thinking, because I would see one once in a while, but thinking that you got to be a really dedicated dog owner to own a dog in a building like that. Because there's a 34-story building. Imagine being on an upper floor and having, every time the dog has to go out, you got to, take it out of your unit, walk to the elevator, push the button, wait, ride it down. There's going to be multiple stops. So it probably takes 5+ minutes just to get outside. Then you go on your dog walk and you repeat back on the way up. I mean, what a hassle that's got to be.
Well, the fact is they don't care. It's all about the dog. The dog's communicating. The dog's talking. No, shut that thing the fuck up.
Well, yeah, they do it. I guess it's like, well, everybody's brainwashed. Well, except us, but everybody else is brainwashed. Like, everybody's got to have a dog. Your life is empty without them. It's like it just, your life serves no purpose unless you're, a dog person. So then. Yeah. What that does is that pushes people into the dog ownership space. They really have no business being in it. It's like, yeah, a dog does not belong in a crowded urban environment like that. It just, for a whole slew of reasons. Again, a dog noise pollution issue, but just because it's a, the high maintenance pet now becomes a maintenance nightmare, basically. So, that's a problem with that. So anyway, yeah, I suggest everybody give this video a roll. What else he had? Yes, he's got a lot of good stuff. Well, Kanon always has good stuff on here. Man slams dog to the ground. Internet loot, because that was that other case we were talking about, and I'm thinking. Yeah, actually, that one I didn't watch. I'll have to, give that a roll too. But probably what he's getting at is that, what was IHD's point? That, the dog is probably driving the owner insane. And finally, he just snapped and lost it. So I wonder if they can use a not guilty by reason of insanity defense in court. That might hold up. Of course, these people be better off not owning them at all. But
well, from what I heard of the story, from what, and I watched the news report too, just to get the full view, which I couldn't get it, which pissed me off. Basically, the dog had piss and shit in a friend's apartment. And obviously, that's usually what they do. They go everywhere, and the whole world is their toilet, which that's what nutters don't seem to understand. A dog doesn't view society the way we do. That's why they don't deserve to be in human society. Everywhere is a toilet, so they need to be outside. No, they want to bring them indoors. So I guess the dog went in there and took a nice big piss and shit in the apartment, and he had enough of it. And obviously the dog does it consistently.
Probably.
I.e. stupid retard.
Yep. Well, I want to segue into some guest stories. Sheepie, you still on? Still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you had a lot to share because there were some updates, couple of things. There were some updates with your hoarder neighbor. Plus, Santa left you a nice little gift on Christmas. Did you want to discuss those things or tell us what's going on there?
Yeah, sure. So strap in because it's quite a ride. So it actually began the morning after Christmas. We woke up and on our porch was a pit bull puppy.
Woohoo.
Yeah. And as I've mentioned before, like we live kind of in the country, like outside city limits in an unincorporated area. So I've mentioned before, there's no animal control, no leash laws, no nothing. And a lot of people dump animals out here from town. Like they just drive out here, dump the dog and drive away. So there's a lot of stray dogs out here. This one was weird because it would have had to have like walked still quite a ways to get to our front porch. So even if someone had dumped it nearby, like I feel like it was weird that it ended up on our porch specifically. So my immediate thought was like, oh, this has got to be one of my turbo nutter neighbors' dogs that got out. Because she's the only person around us that has dogs at all. So we went over there, knocked on the door, no one answered. So we just kind of ignored it, hoped it would kind of wander off on its own. And it didn't. So it was still there the next day. And I also had I took a picture of it, posted it to my local like Facebook page. I was like, whose dog is this? Does anyone want this dog? Like, I don't want this thing at my house, basically trying to get rid of it like as quickly as possible. Of course, nobody ever wants these things. They just respond with like sad faces and like, oh, poor baby, and then move on. But none of those people will take it. So next day, thing is still here. So I go to the neighbors again. I'm very annoyed at this point. Nobody's also like, it's the holidays, like none of, the city businesses probably aren't open or like, nobody's working really. So it's like, what do I do with this thing? So anyways, I go walk down to the neighbors, and as I'm passing her garage, the doors are down as always. I hear a rooster crowing from inside of the garage. So I'm like, this already does not bode well. Go to the door. There's boxes stacked up all over her porch. There's multiple bags of like animal feed. There's huge dog food bags. There's a tortoise food bag. There's like cat litter, like just all kinds of shit. And then boxes, like deliveries that haven't been like taken off the porch. So I ring the doorbell, and immediately a giant aggressive pit bull is like at the door, barking its head off. Like the door has two windows on both sides, like tall, narrow windows, so I could see in.
Yep.
And this freaking pit bull was like going absolutely apeshit. Like I was worried it was gonna break through the glass and like attack me. So I just left at that point. And I was pissed. So I started calling. I called the local animal shelter, like the city animal shelter, they wouldn't even, as soon as they found out where I live, they were like, that's not us, sorry, like, you're gonna have to talk to the county. I already knew where this was going because the county doesn't have animal control. They're just trying to like get rid of me and pass the buck along.
Yep.
So anyways, I was like, yes, go ahead and transfer me to the county. So I talked to the county. They say the same thing, like, you're out, we don't have animal control, we can't come get it, like, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? This isn't my dog. And then I say, but also, you know what? I'm actually very concerned about my neighbor, because I'm pretty sure this might be her dog that escaped because she's the only person around here with dogs. And she hasn't answered the door in 2 days. Her car's in the driveway, and usually, you know, when her car's there, she's home normally, from what I've observed. She's got boxes piling up on her porch. Like, I'm actually worried something's wrong with her. Can you guys do a welfare check? So they said, yes, sure, we'll do a welfare check. And in the meantime, I said, please transfer me back to the city. I want to talk to them again. So they transferred me back to the city, and this time I got them to agree to have the animal control officer at least call me back, because they changed the story a little bit. They were like, well, we can have the animal control officer call you, and if the dog meets the criteria, he can come pick it up. And I was like, okay, what's the criteria? And the lady was like annoyed with me. She was like, I don't know, you're just gonna have to wait for him to call. And then basically we hung up and that was it. And I was assuming like nothing was gonna happen. They weren't actually gonna do a welfare check, but they did. And about half an hour later, did the county dispatch called me back and started asking me all kinds of questions. What do I know about the neighbor? What's her name? How old is she? Like, all kinds of questions. And I was like, you know, I'm not really sure. I've only met her a couple times. And then dispatch was like, well, we're here. We have like sheriff's deputies and like an ambulance with EMTs, a fire truck. And I was like, what the hell? And they said, we went to the door to do the welfare check, and the smell is so bad that we think there's a deceased body inside.
Oh, lovely.
And I was like, oh my God, it finally happened. Like, she was mauled to death by her dogs in her house. Like, I was not surprised to hear this because I've been thinking something like that was going to happen for a while now. So anyways, they were like, but we can't get in the house. We're waiting on animal control because the dogs inside are so aggressive, we can't go in and like search for a body until animal control gets here. And I was
Sounds
just like
a pizza face Duran story.
Dude, I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going on? So I was like, oh my God. And they were like, okay, thanks for your help. Like, you know, and I was like, is there any way you guys can like let me know the outcome of this? Like, and they were like, yeah, sure, we'll like let you know. So anyways, I immediately like put my shoes on and a coat and like head outside so I can just watch this all unfold next door. So I'm trying to make a long story somewhat short, but like I stood outside for probably like 2.5 hours. I don't know exactly how long it was, but I watched the entire time as they tried to enter the house. They put crime scene tape around the entire property, like around the entire house and the fence. Eventually, animal control showed up, went inside with their like poles, and anyways, it turned out that she's not dead inside the house. The house.
Damn, you know, it's
I
like,
know.
Oh, I was
know.
gonna say you didn't get any footage.
I know, I did. I filmed this. I took pictures. Like,
Yes.
I was thinking about making a video of my own, just like going through all this. And the officers had body cams on, so I'm looking into requesting the body cam footage from the county, so I can also include that because they said that this was the worst house they have ever been inside in their entire careers. The reason it smelled like a dead body was because this is their words, like every square inch of that house was covered in feces, diarrhea, urine, the sheetrock was completely eaten up. The furniture was covered in feces and urine. And then they started listing out what they found. So obviously there's like 10 dogs, some of them in the backyard, some of them just in the house. The other thing is, though, they said there was blood everywhere.
Well, something got mauled to death.
Yes, so something had to have been, there had to have been some kind of death in there because it smelled like death, which from my understanding is a pretty like difficult smell to mistake for anything else. They said her trash cans, like her rolling bins, smelled like dead animals. They broke into her car while I was there, set off the car alarm, like we're getting all through her car. And I think they said the car stunk, like, and I guess they were probably just looking for identification or something. But she had in the garage is lined with cages, and in each cage they said there was like a goat, and then there was also a goat running loose. There was a pig, a rooster, there was a skunk in one of the bedrooms. There were turtles or tortoises. I don't know what the difference is. She had tortoise feed on the porch, so there were lizards. There was like a bearded lizard. And like I feel like I'm forgetting more. And also there's cat food or cat litter on the porch, but they didn't mention finding any cats, so I'm guessing the blood everywhere may have been from cats that got
pit bulls love them some cats, so the cats may have all been deleted.
Yeah. But that goes back to my point. Remember what I said? She was hoarding animals. Like she was probably, I thought it was just dogs, but it seems like what she's doing, and she's flying around, she's going around rescuing people's animals.
Yeah.
Because that would explain all the different assortment of, that sounds like Dr. Doolittle's zoo.
Yeah, like nightmares.
There is no consistent animal there. There's dogs, pigs, skunk, lizards, tortoises, parrots, parakeets. I mean, come on, what the fuck? Goats, roosters. Who has a skunk?
Right. Yes, where did she get the skunk? That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's insane. It's so much worse than I imagined. And like, the dogs definitely outnumber all the other animals. But this is clearly like, and the cops said they finally managed to like make contact with her via phone. And according to her, or according to the police, she told them that she was supposed to have a house sitter, and the cops told me like we didn't believe that for a second. Like no one's been taking care of this house. And then she told them that her husband is deployed. So I don't know still like now who the other vehicle belongs to that comes and goes. Like she always drives this like black Mustang, and when that Mustang's in the driveway, she's pretty much always home. So I don't know who the SUV driver is. It must like a friend or family. Apparently her husband's like not there at all. Like he's been deployed or is deployed.
Yeah, fortunately for him. I know we were joking in private. He probably asked his military superiors, like, could I get a deployment to Antarctica, like for life? I would really like that. Like just anywhere but here.
It definitely smells fresher than that house, that's for sure.
Oh, God.
Dude, I know. So supposedly, by the time this was all kind of wrapping up, the deputies came over to talk to me because obviously they saw me just standing there watching for like 2 hours. And I was the one that called originally. So they basically told me like she agreed this is like a mental health crisis. She's just lonely and sad because her husband's deployed and things just got out of hand. But she's agreed to do the right thing and like get rid of like they made it sound like they were about to like seize all of the animals from her, which I was like,
they should have. I mean, they should have, because this is, I mean, it's all kind of, you've got animal cruelty and neglect. It's a public health issue, right? There's all kinds of things like wrong here, and I'm sure there's definitely crimes being committed. But I guess since she's a dog person, primarily, she's just like, again, they're all above the law. So it's like, yeah, she's just lonely. We'll just we'll just cut her loose, cut her a break, right?
Yeah, that's looking like what is happening. So since this all went down, oh wait, let me finish one part of the story real quick. So things are wrapping up. They take down the crime scene tape. The ambulance leaves because there's no dead body, I guess. The ambulance has left, the fire truck has left, and I see the animal control vehicle start to like drive away. And so I like run down my driveway, I like flag down this AC officer. And it's like during the course of all of this, everyone has forgotten that like the whole impetus was this like fucking stray puppy that I'm trying to get rid of.
Right.
Like, so I flag this guy down and I'm like, hey, can you take this dog like at my house? Like, this is the reason I called. I'm pretty sure it came from the house you were just at. And I'm not keeping it. I don't want it. Like, you guys are here. Like, can you just take it? He told me, no, it is illegal for us to take that dog. It's outside of our jurisdiction. And I'm like, but you're literally next door. Like, why are you here at all? If like it makes no sense. Like,
right, exactly, because they are probably called to potentially take the animals out. So it's like, okay, we're here to take animals out, but we can't take animals out. So yeah, why are they there at all?
yeah.
No, I'd have been my bad. You're here to do your fucking job. Take this goddamn dog.
Well, I guess on one hand, it's sort of like, well, I guess it's technically, yeah, they are outside their jurisdiction because, like you said, the animal control is city, but the unincorporated areas, like outside city limits, have no AC at all. So that's probably why the problem erupted in the first place. But
no, fuck that. I'd have been like, how far do I need to walk him for you to take his ass?
Right,
oh, yeah. That too. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and the guy, hello.
Still here. Yep.
I feel like I dropped off. Oh, okay. So the guy, I will give him credit. Like, he was very like apologetic about it. He was like, I know it's terrible. We complain about this. There's no resources out here where you're at. Like, I mean, he was trying to be like somewhat apologetic. And then he told me, he was like, just don't feed it. Just like do not feed it, and hopefully it'll like go away on its own when it gets hungry enough, or it'll just like starve to death. Apparently that was kind of like the unspoken. I feel
that's a solution. Yep.
Yeah. And so then they left, the police left, and I thought, okay, they got to be getting like, they didn't take a single animal with them. So I was like, okay, they must be, maybe they need like a bigger truck, or like a different, since there's like livestock and like exotic animals, maybe they just need to coordinate with a different like agency, or like, I don't know. I thought something was going to happen still. Nothing else has happened. The next day my neighbor came home and a couple of like SUVs were there. One of them looked like it had a government license plate, but I'm not sure what agency. And then for the past, I mean, since this has happened, basically she's just been like ripping the carpets out of the house. Her trash cans were full of like carpeting that she'd ripped out. There was a recliner she'd pulled out of the house and sat by the trash cans. She was she was like power washing out the garage the next day. And I could see inside, and it looked like all the animals were still in there, like cages with goats in there. The dogs are all in the backyard barking more than ever. It looks like
because
they
their
might just
extra
be
source
letting
of
her.
food is gone.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, it looks like they might be letting her just. It looks like they might have just done a thing where they're like, hey, clean this up and we'll give you another chance. Like, we don't have the resources to take the animals. And I don't know. I don't know if anything's still going to happen. I'm planning to like contact the county again and see if I can get an update. I want to get that footage of the inside of her home. But so far, I mean, I hear the barking every day. The dogs are still in the backyard. Her garage doors are closed down again. So, and she and these other SUVs have been coming and going. And there's just shit all over the driveway. Like, she pulled a bunch of cages out and was hosing them down. So that's my holiday story for you all.
Holy mother of dog.
Yeah, it was quite a wild ride. And for a moment there, I let myself get optimistic that something was actually going to happen.
Yeah.
And
That I
see,
should know better.
can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that, you guys know I've got a real twisted sense of humor, and I always try to be comedic, but I'm really starting to look at your story and all of our stories together, and I'm really starting to get really concerned and scared. Because if you think about it, like all these things are going to protect dogs, and we have no protection for ourselves. They
Yep.
won't take the dogs because there's no room for them. Then why do you keep building more and more shelters that are just going to get overrun within 10 minutes? So
Yep.
we're totally overrun by dogs. Like,
Yep.
this is getting scary.
Yep. Well, my thought was, yeah, kind of pursuant to that, yeah, they don't. Well, they kind of do, and they don't have the resources to deal with it. In a case like that, they can say, okay, we don't have animal control or enough animal control to deal with this. This is an extreme hoarding situation. We're not talking about one or two off-leash dogs. But the thing is, there's still things the county can do. They could hire a private contractor to deal with it. They could, like, say, bring in like HSUS or ASPCA perhaps. They could go to a neighboring jurisdiction and ask for, request assistance. Those kind of things happen, right? So, like, for example, it's not animal related, but I live, well, actually, in a way, it's kind of the same situation. I live in an unincorporated area also, even though it's really like a suburb. So all my municipality is the county, kind of like in your situation. And I live like right outside a city that's, a big popular tourist destination and all that. So usually when the peak tourist season, the city will request additional resources from the county, right? Like, in other words, we need additional police officers like on the street and things like that. So and I don't know how that's arranged exactly. Like, I don't know if it's some kind of deal that's already in place or if they approach him and how's it funded and all that kind of stuff. But that can happen because that's what they always say is they throw up their hands, we don't have the resources. It's like they could if it were a priority. What they're really saying is we don't give a shit. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, it seems like in so many cases, including this one, the only flurry of activity was when they thought someone had actually died.
Yep.
And once they determined that, oh, no one actually died, they're just wiping their hands of the whole thing.
Yeah, no one yet, but that's the kind of thing. It's like they didn't do anything. So she still got all these dangerous dogs. And the other cause of death, or there could have been, maybe she just died from toxic shock from all the animal waste. It's like, I mean, there's probably the air in there is unbreathable. You'd probably need a spacesuit. And there's no way, well, first of all, her cleaning efforts are pointless. It's just going to get fouled up again. Nothing's changed. And then of course, all this has been documented now because you've complained about it and they've been there and everything. So if in 6 months from now they do maul her to death, how are they going to write that off? It's going to be another one of those cases where, authorities knew there was a problem and refused to do anything about it.
Oh, yeah. And this is another thing I forgot to mention. When the officers came out to talk to me, there were two sheriff's deputies, a man and a woman. And the woman literally had a can of Lysol and was spraying herself down. Like, she smelled like straight Lysol when she came to talk to me. She was still holding the can, like spraying herself with it. And she was saying, like, that's the other thing. I thought there was still going to be something happening because she said they need like a hazmat team to go in there. They would need like hazmat suits. They were all just, she was like, that is the worst house I've ever been in. And then she said the same thing I've been saying for so long. Like, she was like, that house is nicer than the house I live in. I'm like renting an apartment. The sheriff's deputy is like renting an apartment. And this woman's like living in a literal brand new, like when they bought that house, it was brand new construction.
Yep.
And in like, what has it been, like 2 years or so? Completely wrecked it, completely destroyed. It will never be the same again. The drywall was eaten up, they said. The stench was unimaginable. Like, literally, the officer kept repeating, like, I thought there was a dead body in there. It smelled so bad. It smelled like a dead body.
Well, there may be dead animals kind of scattered around in there. Like, who knows? You know. Yeah, maybe, you know, I would think, you know, it's so bad, you know, the county engineer, I think typically it's the engineer's office, can revoke a CO, you know, a certificate of occupancy. That happens because because the house is literally uninhabitable. Like, it's not fit to be lived in by humans. So, you know, so they can do, I mean, it's, you know, it's an environmental hazard. I mean, for the folks that live there particularly, but even, you know, the other folks in the community.
Yeah, I'm guessing they must have, like I said, she's been like furiously cleaning the house, ripping the carpets out. The carpets are all in her trash cans. The furniture, she pulled out furniture. Like, I'm guessing that they probably just told her, like, hey, you got to try to clean this up to like some certain level that we can then just like wipe our hands of it and say, like, oh, it's been cleaned up. Or I'm guessing they're just letting her do that. And we actually have an acquaintance we talked to right after this all happened, who specializes in this kind of thing. Like, he's in realty or real estate, but he specializes in like dilapidated or hoarding like type houses that have been like foreclosed or whatever. And then he tries to like remediate and then basically flip them, I guess, or like sell them. And he said, like, yeah, I've seen these cases so many times, and often the owners are given like just so much leeway. They're, you know, the house is probably not going to get foreclosed. Like, they're given chance after chance to clean it up. And this type of like hoarding behavior doesn't just go away, like without extensive therapy and stuff that she's probably not going to get. So, like you said, in 6 months from now, it's probably going to be just as bad as it was before.
Yeah, or sooner. Yep. Yeah, and the other thing too is like, yeah, you think like with the bank, you know, foreclosed. I'd had that thought that some folk in a case like this, a lender would take an interest. But the thing is, really, I mean, banks don't want to foreclose. Banks make money by renting money, right? They don't want the collateral. They want you to keep paying interest on the balance. That's how they make money. So they only really foreclose in fairly, I mean, typically, there's some exception, but typically, you know, when somebody is just totally delinquent. But the problem in this case is I would estimate, and I don't know what the financial situation is like, but the house is probably worth less than what's owed on it at this point. It's underwater, which means the bank really doesn't want it back, because if they foreclose, they're already underwater on it. They're looking at a huge loss. Yeah, the whole thing, I mean, it's probably a teardown, really. It would have to be completely gutted. I mean, torn down to even down to the studs, because even the studs probably got to come out, because all that foul liquid is, you know, probably getting into the drywall, you know, leaking in there. It's probably in between the walls at this point. I think it's hopeless. But yeah, if you could get that body cam footage, that would be totally awesome. You know, put it up on assemble a video on your channel, or that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to get that footage. The form, I found the form to fill out to request it, and I think it's like $30. So I'm definitely going to do that. And
yeah,
I can't wait to hear what the cops and stuff are saying, because I could overhear while they were like going in and out, them saying how disgusting it was, and then they told me it's like the worst one they've ever seen. So I'm definitely going to get that footage. So hopefully our intrepid viewers can get a glimpse inside the nightmare house next door.
But dog people, they're the best people, right? I mean, really, it's folks like us that are the problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, is this not like this is the thing is like, how is this not animal abuse if you really
Well,
want to
it
like,
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But she's not probably going to get charged with a single thing.
What if she'd thrown the dogs off a bridge? She'd be looking
Right.
at what, the gas chamber or the electric chair or something. How do they square that circle? Right? Like, yeah, why aren't they going after people like this?
Because she's like Sheepy said previously, she has majority dogs. So all those other infractions get looked over because, initially she's a dog lover.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but even the dogs are living in, I mean, with dogs, well, I guess the thing is you say the dogs are living in literal shitty conditions, but I mean, dogs like poop. So I guess a house that's a foot
They
deep
like
in
it.
poop, and maybe that's like, maybe the dogs are happier that way, Maybe that is a
They don't
good,
seem to care.
yeah, good environment to keep a dog. Oh, God, it's the whole thing. It's so nasty. You know, um, hopefully she'll be gone soon. Because yeah, they may have given her some ultimatum where it's like, okay, if you don't restore the property to, well, I guess a habitable condition, we're going to condemn it. So they just keep up with those welfare checks.
Oh yeah.
Well, like
No,
you
I'm going to
said,
follow up for sure.
well, like Bill said, you totally have that covered. I mean, it's like, how else can you get away with that? Like, there's no way that you've already got it documented. Like, you've got the ball rolling. Like, it may look like a small step now, but in the future, it won't.
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
definitely helped the next time something happens, because you could argue, like, yeah, if you get the dog barking wakes you up, you can call and you say, look, something's going on at that dog hoarder location. And yes, it's a known problem. So, keep sending the cops over there. I mean, I don't know if the county has a noise ordinance, but she's already, identified as a problem. So yeah, just keep calling the cops on them. Maybe then that'll motivate them to do something. A lot of times, the complaints have to be cumulative.
Yeah, well, this is not the first time, as you all know. I've called the county. This is probably like the third or fourth time, but it's the first time anything actually seems to have been done. And the difference appears to be that this time I thought maybe she had died inside because no one's answering the door for 2 days. So the welfare check on the owner, like the human inhabitant, seems to be the key this time rather than me complaining about the dogs running loose and all that in the past.
Yeah.
Well, temporarily.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So
Joe, you've been
happy holidays. Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, you've been pretty quiet. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I was just speechlessly listening because when you posted that on the Discord, Sheepy, I was actually talking about that with my girlfriend, and I told her that I bet you €100 that they will just reprimand her and tell her to clean the house, and nothing else is going to happen. And so I was eagerly waiting for the outcome of the story, and yeah, well, there we have it. Yeah. So
Well,
and
you won €100.
yeah. Well, it was just in jest, but and the other thing is that what always makes me mad is this stupid excuse with we don't have we can't do anything because we don't have the resources. I mean, if they don't have the resources for such a case, then what do they actually have resources for? I mean, I'm just wondering what are they actually doing, all day long? If I mean, this is such an extreme case that I mean, what else are they using their resources for then? I mean, it's really a mystery to me.
Well, they're
Well, it's a
going
great point.
after
They're
people.
building more hospitals to keep them healthy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Building out the dog shelter, going after people who throw dogs off of bridges. That's their
probably. Yeah.
That they have the resources for.
Just
Well, yeah, it is just a matter of priority. I mean, like I was saying, even given the the legal technicalities of it, there's probably plenty the county could do in a case like this. They're just choosing not to. They're playing game. Well, we don't have animal control. Or, well, it's like, well, then, contract, you can do that also, is like, fine, contract with the city and use their animal control, or a neighboring county perhaps, or a private contractor, or, create your own AC agency. Right, because clearly it's needed. And say, who's going to pay for it? You make the dog owners pay for it. Charge them each $200 a year for a dog license. There's your funding. Even if half of them don't pay it, you'll have plenty of money. Because they don't do it because they don't want to. It's like, because they, going after. They don't want to go after the furry Jesus. It's a sacrilege in their religion.
Yeah.
Well, I can provide my services. Allow me to buy a combine, and I'll go through your neighborhoods and take care of your dogs for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Quick, clean, and easy.
I have a solution. I mean, it's not a solution they want to implement, but it's a solution. Last week, we were talking about the feral dog problems in various spaces and, culling measures and the like. And so, yeah, actually, I wanted to segue into, I have a brief story of my own, because it was New Year's Day, and after dinner, I was walking the neighborhood with the GF, and guess what happens? We get about a block, and it was kind of dark. I couldn't tell, but it looked like it was some kind of bully breed. Off leash charges us. It comes running out of an open garage, right, headed right toward us. So, it gets within 3-4 meters, and it's lean in, and I yell, point, and I yell, go! And he did. He just did a 180 and ran back into the garage. Of course, when the dog is already running back, now the owner's saying, Sassy, come back. I'm like, yeah, that's really helpful, And I didn't do anything else. I didn't feel like getting into it with the guy or anything. But it's like, yeah, control your mutts. But it was like, yeah, what a great start to the new year. But at least, nobody was injured. There's no gunfire or other weapons used. So I guess that was a good outcome. But every place you go. Every
one of us has a story. Every one of us always has a story. Every one of us always has a consistent tale of some dumbass nutter doing something that, they're supposedly loving these creatures, that's showing there's total disdain for them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because that dog could have run out, could have been hit by a car. But of course, when that happens, they just blame the driver, right?
Yeah. Decides to go lay out in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah, why not? A good place to lie down, right? Hey, speaking of culling, I wanted to, so as we covered like quite a bit today, I wanted to, and as maybe as a way to like generate some additional interest in this, I wanted to do a little more gun porn, because last time I covered the, so I'm going to stop the share and start a new one. Mossberg.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, because last week we covered that was my Ruger Scout rifle, which there's actually a Scout rifle. It's a pattern. So typically what you have is its shortest legal barrel, shortest overall length for a rifle, bolt action, iron sights. The Ruger has iron sights also, but of course you can also mount a scope. So there's a photo, I think it was when I took it out of the box. It's still got the sticker on it. So Mossberg calls this the MVP, which means Mossberg Varmint Predator. Varmint? any varmints around, you have a varmint problem. So, and this is a really cool gun to have, for a lot of reasons, just similar to the other one. It's, it's a compromise like everything is, but it's very handy. It's less expensive than the Ruger, because a Ruger, again, is like an heirloom gun. This, while it's a very good gun, it isn't quite that level of quality. But, I really like it. It's a lot of fun to shoot. This one is in .223 caliber, so it's way less powerful than the other one. But, .223 is cheaper, and it's probably sufficient for varmints, say, under 100 pounds. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's bolt action, so which means there's fewer restrictions on it than you would have, say, to a semi-auto, like this, like say an AR or Mini 14 or whatever. So, maybe even our European friends can get them. It takes detachable magazines. You look at this picture, there's a 10-round factory mag, but it also will take AR magazines. So it's compatible with those also. So you're not just stuck with the factory magazines. And I get good shooting results also. So there's another photo of it at the range. Now, I've gone through a couple of sighting options or solutions for it. First I started with this Vortex scope, but this made it kind of a little bit awkward. So I got some pretty good results with that. So it's another view with the scope on it. So actually what I did was, this is how it's solution currently. So this is a 3-power Nikon fixed scope, right?
Pretty. So my question is, what's her name? Because all guns have names, dogs don't.
Yeah. Gertrude.
There you go.
So, and I get actually really good because, it's just a fix, because this is not a 1,000-yard gun. So you don't need a really sophisticated sighting system. Remember, Sheepie, you told me Nikon no longer makes scopes.
Yeah, I have a Nikon scope that I really like, but they stopped making them a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think you can still get your scopes repaired by them, but they don't make new ones.
Yeah, it's too bad, because I have this, and I have a Nikon scope in my Savage 16 also. And yeah, they make, and they're good for the money also. I guess that the market is so competitive. So this is a fixed 3-power scope. Let's see what else we got here. That's closer in, another viewpoint. Where's the, I want to go get some range results. Yeah, so this is actually really good. This is a 50-yard group with a Nikon. So that's pretty good. That's probably, what, 3/4 inch group there? Probably less than an inch at 50. I think the best group I ever got out of it was maybe 1.2 MOA, which is pretty good for a gun like this, because, again, it's not a precision rifle necessarily. It's, it's a compromise. So that was with a Nikon. That was also Nikon. This was actually, before I scoped it, this group I got just standing just with the iron sights. It's got some real basic iron sights. It's got a front blade with a rear, like V-shaped notch. But even with that, it shoots pretty well. I mean, it shoots better than any handgun does. That's for sure. So
yeah, that's a nice group for just standing still.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize it. It's hard because, like, this was shot off a rest, off of what I have is I have this I like this foam solution here, so you can adjust the height just by taking these blocks off. So I like that. It's nice and light. So I shoot off this a lot. So, that's a good, solution if you have a quote varmint problem. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. And some people can say, it's .223 caliber, but, .223 is, I mean, it has way more energy in it than pretty much any handgun round. Like at muzzle, the muzzle energy for this is about 1,200 foot-pounds, which is like twice a 357 Magnum. So even though it's a small bullet, it's going really fast and there's a lot of energy in it. So it definitely does a lot of damage to whatever's hit. So,
and the shock wave of that is going to pop any blood vessel.
Oh yeah. It's it's no joke. Certainly, I say, well, it's 22 caliber, but kind of, but it's way more powerful than say a 22 long rifle or even 22 Magnum. The ammunition's not expensive either. This actually, like we were discussing last time, the like precision rifles are very, very picky about their ammo. This really isn't. It shoots pretty much everything, at least pretty well. The best results I ever got, I think it was a best grouping, like the one I just showed. I don't know if it was the best group I ever got, but it was close. It likes heavier bullets. It was a 68 grain Black Hills, which is kind of like premium ammo, but even the cheap stuff, the PMC, it shoots that pretty well. So it's like good enough. And that stuff's like 45 cents a round, maybe a little less if you buy it bulk. So that's helpful also if you like to shoot a lot.
Quiet for a second. I'm up at the duck park because all the drama up at the house, and these two Hispanic dudes came in on these horses, and all these clowns are with these dogs up here. I want to see how this is going to work out today.
They brought their horses. It's a dog park.
Well, no, it's the duck park. It is. I made some videos of it. It's a duck park up here. They have koi and turtles and stuff. And these idiots keep bringing their dogs up here when they're not supposed to, because, they're going to go after the ducks. They're going to go after everything. And so a few of the Hispanic Mexican guys up here who've got some major chips have got these really expensive horses. And they'll ride up into the hills, into the canyons and everything. But that's where all the idiots bring their German shepherds and their pit bulls and let them run loose.
Yeah, because horses and dogs don't mix too well.
No, they don't. These are really pretty horses too.
Yeah, well,
good luck.
Good luck. Yep. I mean, does a park allow horses?
Well, I mean, if you go up, like, they didn't come through, they just came up the driveway like you would drive, and then they went off on the right towards the hill to go up into the up into the hills.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's rattlesnakes and bobcats and all that shit up there, but I mean, they pretty much leave you alone.
Yeah. I mean, horses don't like those things either, but that stuff, yeah, they're not gonna mess with you unless you mess with them. But we know how Fido is. He loves to project that aggression, right?
Yeah. So. And some clowns just went up there and just let them run loose. So that's gonna be funny.
Yeah. Actually, I take that back. This group was with the Hornady Steel Match, not the Black Hills. So when that's kind of quasi premium ammo, but so this would make a really good. I've never, unlike with a Ruger, I've taken a few hogs with a Ruger. This doesn't. It's not. I could hunt hogs with it, but I don't because it's, it doesn't have quite enough energy in it to guarantee a kill on a 200-pound animal. I mean, it probably would, but like with 308, it's going to blow it away. This, not so much. But anyway, sorry.
What are your thoughts on like 6.5 Creedmoor? Would that be worse of a round?
Creed, actually, we talked about that. I mean, I looked up the I don't have anything in 6.5 Creedmoor, but I looked at the ballistics, and the ballistics for that are actually, they're superior to this. They're actually better than 243 Winchester. So I think the ballistics are somewhere between 243 and 308. So that would be very effective at, taking out large game. I mean, obviously, you've used good shot placements. So it would definitely kill an Og Day and probably a hog also. So I've heard a lot. I've been kind of interested in that, but I don't know if I want to like invest in new calibers or anything. So I kind of stay away from that. But oh yeah, that would be a great hunting caliber, I think.
Yeah, I've used it for deer and it was pretty effective. I haven't been shooting in a long time. You're making me want to get back out to the range. But I have a Ruger precision rifle in 6.5 Creedmoor, which is what I used to go. Like I got really into like long range shooting for a while, and I've hit and just off the shelf like this gun just I was shooting like out to 800 plus yards with
Oh wow,
I
yeah.
was using like Hornady I think 129 grain match ammo, which was really nice stuff. But I haven't been shooting in a long time. I kind of want to get back out now.
Yeah, those are really nice guns. It's funny, you know, we always talk about like really anything is lowest common denominator, and I haven't been to the range real recently either. You know, the places where I took these photos, I was a member of a members only, you know, shooting club for about 11 years. It closed a couple of years ago. So obviously I no longer, you know, go there. I've been to a couple other places, but I remember, yeah, I've known a couple of folks or met a couple of folks that had those. And the first one was this guy's there and he's got all these hand loads and he's got one of those devices, you know, to shoot through that measures the bullet velocity. And I guess he's with the 100-yard range and he's shooting this thing. And again, he's got all these different hand loads and he's got all this equipment and stuff. And he really just wasn't hitting it. I almost felt like saying like, dude, you suck. It just was not, he was not getting good results at all. Right. And then you fast forward. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was like, the truth hurts.
Yeah. But then I was on, fast forward some, and I was at the 100-yard, you know, bay with another man who was shooting one of those things, and this guy was just like fucking amazing. Like he was just putting them all through the same hole at 100 yards. And so I got talking to him. He says, yeah, it's not my gun. It belongs to a friend of mine, but he wanted me to, you know, sight it in, you know, zero it and everything. And we were talking, super nice guy. And he was just using just factory ammo. I don't remember the brand, but yeah, he was just like, that was just like fucking amazing. It was probably even better than like probably better than a Remington 700. But, you know, too, is that the Ruger Precision, that's actually it's high-end stuff. It's like the, you know, it's like the Rolls Royce of long range rifles.
Yeah, no, it's a great rifle. The place I used to shoot at hosts like it's like serious shooters go there. They host like PRS matches, so there's guys coming from like Arizona and like all over to shoot in these matches. So actually, when I tried participating in that, my RPR was like the lowest end of the guns that were there.
Well,
These guys all had like custom barrels, custom like everything, and they like hand load. Some of these guys were using like Wildcat rounds that they would have an expensive rifle that's job was only to like fire form the brass for their actual like match guns. So I was definitely like beginner level, like but it was fun. I learned a lot, and I really like long range shooting. It's kind of just fun for me to like, you know, check the windage and like, you know, figure out what my elevation needs to be, and I don't know. I enjoy that stuff. It was fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I enjoy it too. And that was sort of a segue into, you know, the hog hunting and the like. But oh yeah, I love that stuff. And there's nothing better than getting a good group. You know, you're like, it's so awesome. You know.
I know. Or like we out there, like we usually just shot like steel targets because this was all like way beyond 100 yards. I mean, it was like 300 to like 1,000-yard targets. So when you hear that ping, like, you know, there's like a little delay and then you hear the steel get hit. It's so satisfying.
Yeah. I like the way it's almost like infinitely adjustable. So you've got this adjustable stock and the cheek piece and all that. So
yeah, dude, this gun is nice. And then the scope, the Nikon scope, they don't make anymore. It's the black FX 1000, and I have the first focal plane version. I think you could get it in like second focal plane, but I did the first focal plane or whatever for ease of use.
Yeah, that's nice. That is nice.
Yeah,
that is
scope is
pretty.
nice too.
The only one I've been looking at of like long ones is like the one I cannot get my hands on because it's not for civilian use, but it's the new the HK, the H&K, the 45 rifle they have. Because it's like, I really want a Tommy gun if I can ever get my hands on something like that. But I mean, I'm into that big caliber. I'm into that, hit them one good time and drop their ass. I'm not trying to put 4 or 5 rounds in, I'm just trying to drop you and just go to the next one.
Yeah. Look at these calibers. They got 6.5 Creed, 308, 6mm GT. Oh, and 338.
That's what I'm talking about.
338.
One hitter quitter.
Magnum. Yeah, that was. You ever see you've probably heard of the movie American Sniper. You're familiar with the story. I did some research.
Yeah.
His duty gun was a McMillan TAC 338, I think. Let me look that up.
It was a big caliber.
Yeah, but it was serious, but that was something that was really highly specialized. So it looks like these, I think you could probably get one for like $1,800. Usually get some off, but this what was it? Yeah, it was a Macmillan or it says McMillan TAC. Well, you get a 50 caliber. No, I think TAC. I think this is what he was issued as a McMillan TAC 338. It was something like this. And yeah, that's pretty. I'm sure that's got some good ballistics. Yeah, chambered in. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, I wonder. But I think that I even like 10 years ago was, I think, one of these. It's like just the gun. I mean, without like a scope on it or anything, was about $7,000.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really serious stuff. But I mean, just a bolt action rifle. This is probably. I wouldn't. I don't know.
It's like 6,000, or I can't read that on my screen. It's kind of small. I think it's 6,000 for.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, $6,478. Yep.
Yeah, that's I bought my RPR several years ago. I think I paid like around $1,200 at the time.
That's pretty good deal. Yeah. It was interesting as you look at some of these other guns like the Ruger I featured last week, because that the Scout rifle. I think those are, the MSRP is like $1,479, but they're retailing for like between $1,000 and $1,100. And the Mossberg we just featured, let me look that up, because I paid $500 for mine.
Not bad.
Yeah, I think the MSRP at the time was like $600. So this is let's see what we got current. I got mine a while ago. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, so so we got, this is, we got 300 blackout. You can get that in 308 also if you want something with more smack to it. Let's see, and this is the one, a 7.62. Yeah, this is sim. So the MSRP is $721, but you could probably get one for $600 maybe. If you're not in a big hurry. So yeah, these are, like I said, and this is a notch cheap. But again, this is not going to shoot as well as a Ruger precision rifle or one of those McMillans. Well, it doesn't really need to. I mean, if you're varminting, you're not going to be taking 1,000-yard shots anyway, probably. So, yeah, probably mine, I would want an outfit like this, because see, he's got, this one is configured more like I have the Ruger because he's got a long eye relief scope here. So anyway,
I need a scope recommendation for my. I have a Savage 17 HMR. It's got just like a piece of shit scope on it, but I don't shoot it very much. But I'd like to, because that's a great gun also. I love that round, and it's good for varmints.
Well, you know, what makes really good scopes is well, I have a Vortex is good like a budget scope. Right, like if you're not, Weaver makes it pretty good, or used to. One of my other 223 rifles, I got a Savage 110 and 223. Actually, I bought used, and I maybe I'll feature that next week. And that has iron sights, and I just bought like $100 Weaver scope, and that shoots sub MOA with cheap ammunition. So, but if you want like a more premium scope, like Leopold is good. I had a Leopold on my 700, and that was really good. So, and it wasn't even one of the higher end Leopold scopes, because they make scopes into the, several thousands of dollars. It was like maybe a $400 scope, if that even. So that's
that Leopold's really nice.
Yeah, Leopold makes good scopes. If you want to go like a premium scope, and Weaver and Vortex make good budget scopes. So yeah, because it makes all the difference. It really does. So
yeah, I'm a little picky with like glass at this point. So.
Yeah, it's too bad Nikon stopped making them. I guess it's just too competitive, because you go, on these sites. Well, you've got Leopold, Vortex, Weaver. You've got what are some? Now I'm like drawing a blank. Those are the ones that I own. Let's go here and look at like rifle scopes. Are you at least 18 years old? Well, yes, physically. So optics. Yeah, let's just look at rifle scopes.
Night Force. Make good scopes, but I haven't looked at the prices in a while.
Yeah, so you got something like this. This Weaver is probably an okay. Oh, Burris, that's the other. I was trying to think. It starts with a B, but I couldn't remember. I don't know. I don't know anything about those. The Vortex, again, it's like a good budget scope. Then you got this Swarovski. Yeah, I don't know, but they're expensive. I don't know if they're any good.
Yeah, I remember Athlon. They were kind of like less expensive than like say Night Force or like Vortex. I looked through a couple, but they were like second focal plane, so I didn't want to deal with figuring out windage and elevation on that. And then I have like an EOTech red dot on my AR-15, but I've never really. Do they make good like rifle scopes too? I've never really looked through an EOTech.
Oh yeah, I would assume so.
I would bet they're good.
Yeah, mostly. Bushnell, that's the other one, and that's pretty cheap. I don't know if they're any good or not.
Yeah, Bushnell's what I have on my 17 HMR now, and I'm not like super. I think it's like super cheap. It just came on the rifle when I bought it from the guy, but I'd like to get a better one.
Yeah, you can see that. That's probably below the Vortex or the Weaver. A Burris, Weaver, Sig Sawyer makes scopes, so there's a possibility. They make good guns. It's not too Bush. Yeah, here you got like this $50 scope. Like this is like a BB gun scope, right? What else?
Yeah,
all the makes here. So
I'm looking at a list of the most popular scopes for the PRS shooters. So they're going to be like all high end. But number 1 is Leopold. And then I've never heard of this Tangent Theta.
Yeah, I never.
It's like the number 2. And then Vortex, Zero Compromise, Night Force, Callus, US Optics, Bushnell, Burris, Schmidt and Bender, Trigicon, Maven, Apex, and Zeiss are the top brands for the precision rifle shooter.
Okay, here's all the brands at least that they sell in the upper left here. So we got Barska, BSA, and I've heard of, like Burris and Bushnell. Crimson Trace, I've heard of, EOTech. German Precision Optics. Conus, I've heard of. I think I had a Conus on one of my rifles at one point, took it off because I think that's a like a budget solution also. But I would say too is my Weaver scope is actually really good. For the money, it was really good. So Simmons, yeah, some of these I've heard of. What's the most? Let's do this. Let's sort by what's the best scope you can possibly get. So price high to low. What do we got here? Oh, a Steiner. Look,
Steiner.
It's bargain at $5,800. There's a Swarovski. Oh, there's a high.
Yeah, those are not going to be that great then, obviously.
Yeah, maybe not. Just because something costs a lot of money doesn't mean it's good. Although the guys buying this stuff, if I pay $6,000 for a scope, I better get good results, or I'm going to be.
Oh yeah, you better, and you better have somebody hone that thing in precisely too.
Yeah, but I said Leopold's good because even their cheaper scopes are very good. So if we do that, let's see what does Leopold have. Leopold. Wow, look at all that. Well, that's the thing is, it's like, why did Nikon drop out? Well, because look at all the competition. So we sort
there's too much competition out there.
Yeah, it's like I'm sure that the margins on this stuff are pretty. Well, here we got some blemished. You've got to get a used one. Blemished or like remanufactured. Blemished. Where's a new blemished? I don't want a blemished one. Okay. Or maybe I do. It's like blemished. How? Like if the outside of the tube has a scratch on it, I can live with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we got Blem, Redfield Revolution.
It fell off the back of a truck. That works too.
Yeah, as long as the glass is good, and it works internally, right? Like it's not like the zero is not all screwed up or anything. But sometimes you get. I buy a lot of refurbished stuff, like refurbished computers and the like. Sometimes they're you save a lot of money and they're probably as good as new, maybe even better in some cases. So
yeah, these are all out of stock too.
They are all out of stock. Yeah, but like Leopold's good, like Weaver and Vortex are okay. Those are typically my recommendations. So anywho, looks like Joe already dropped off. In any case, I think I'm going to wrap up this call. So that all of that is said, this is Animal on Control, and as always, people first. Thanks for joining, guys. It was a great conversation. Appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you. Happy New Year, all, and hate dogs.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep. All right. Later, man. Bye.